Ross Crystal here in Los Angeles, and thanks for joining me up front. Up front today, we welcome back the co-creator and co-star of the multi-award-winning series Hacks, which streams on Max. Paul W. Downs back with me once again as we talk about season 4 and whether there's going to be a 5th season. And just what else does he plan on doing? Find out about that and so much more as we go up front with Paul W. Downs. And with that said, hi, Paul.
Hi, Ross. How are you?
Doing well. It is great to see you again. When last I ran into you, it was at the Golden Globes. And since that was what, January, since that time, award after award, if it was not for you, it was for Gene, for the show. So congratulations again all the way around. What did all of those awards this time? You did it before. What did it mean this time for you?
I mean, particularly the series win was so gratifying because we share that with all of the departments and the whole crew that make the show.
Mm.
Television is such a collaborative art form, and the show Hacks is about creative collaboration. So it felt particularly good to have all these people that take such pride in their work feel recognized for it.
Take me to a bird's eye view, a 20,000 feet view of what you see in the show now. It's season 4. Deborah Vance is now at Television City producing her own talk show and hosting it. Is this what? Give me the bird's eye view. What do you see?
Well, this season is really sort of the whole series has been building to this. This is Deborah Vance has finally gotten her white whale. She's the host of an 11:30 show on a major network. But in terms of the bird's eye view, I think we've gotten to a place where these characters have evolved, and also we're getting to finally feel like they are really a part of the entertainment industry, of the television making industry, because for a lot of the series we have these 2 women who are kind of sequestered to Las Vegas, where they're outcasts and they're sort of outside looking in. And this season we get to shoot and make the show in Los Angeles, and really examine what it's like to make television and what it's like to make comedy in a very changing entertainment industry.
You also went from the hotel environment to the television city or television studio environment. What did you do in terms of research? You're in the business, but what did you do in terms of research for a talk show? And I worked the daytime talk show, and you guys nailed it. You nailed what goes on in in a talk show. So what did you do to prep this all?
Well, we had some great insight because Jen Statsky, who created the show with Lucia Agnello and myself, wrote for Fallon. She was a sketch writer and then a monologue joke writer for Jimmy Fallon. And Andrew Law, another one of our writers, wrote for Seth Meyers, and was there in the beginning of Late Night with Seth Meyers. And we also had Meryl Marco as a consultant on the season as a writing consultant, but also playing herself on the show. And she, of course, co-created Letterman's Late Late Show. And so we had such incredible insight from people who had been there and, made late night television night after night that was really, really invaluable.
Take us just a miniature behind the scenes. What happens in the production of one episode? Just in a micro form.
Wow. That's a lot to wrap my arms around. We break the season and we break each episode. And basically in terms of making it, we write the episode, we then have to prep it. We have to find the locations. We have to pair the locations. We have to make sure that we can actually produce the things that are written on the page. We have to cast it, depending on how many guest stars there are. And then we shoot it. There's a lot that goes into it. I feel like that was a very strange summary of it, but that's the basic gist.
There is so much, and then there's the laughs. There's a lot of laughs that go on. And every now and again, you'll take a left turn with drama as well. For you, now Lucia directs quite a few of the episodes, but you've directed a few as well, including this season, right?
Yes, Lucia directs most of the episodes. I directed 2 episodes each season previous, and this season I directed 3 of them. Yeah,
Did you do the Kimmel episode?
I did.
I'm just laughing thinking of that. What was that like? Because you're dealing with somebody who hosts a talk show and you're directing him. What was that like for you? Easy or difficult?
Oh, easy. He was, I mean, well, it was daunting because we really wanted him to do it and hopes he would. And it's not easy to ask somebody to kind of bully Gene Smart, kind of like for Deborah Vance, but he was so game and so great. And his writers and he kind of also contributed some lines. So he made it even funnier than we imagined. And he's like, well, I'm not an actor, but he also is such a talented performer and he performs every night of the week. So it was an absolute pleasure. It was easy. And he was great. He also lends a level of authenticity to the season because he is a late night show host in Los Angeles. And so to have them go head to head was so fun. And yeah, it's one of my favorite scenes of the season. I love that.
It's a great scene. And what Jimmy Kimmel did uh, begs the question: how how much of what you guys do changes once you say action? How close do you stick
I
to?
would say 90% of it is on the page, but we do improvise, we ad lib, we find things on the day. Like I said, you know, um, Jimmy improvised and also wrote some lines that he used. So there's probably about 10% change that happens. We do a lot of alts. We do a lot of alts on the day.
And what's it like for Paul W. Downs to direct himself? What's that like? Take me through
Incredibly difficult. The Paul W. Downs is such a what a diva. Uh,
it.
no, I find it challenging only because it's when you're in it and you're acting, you're just concentrating on your scene partner if you're acting, like you're trying your best just to listen and be in the moment. So I personally, this is my process. I don't know how, when Ben Stiller does it, I don't know what he does, but I go and watch playback. So I watch playback whenever I can so that I can see the scene because you need to have court vision. You need to be able to see like, oh, what are the background actors doing in this moment? What, how, and so it helps me to adjust. And I will say, wherever possible, I direct episodes that I'm in the least because it's much easier to direct when you're just sitting behind the camera. But I'm also lucky because Jen Statsky and Lucia Agnello as writer producers, they're on set every single day. And so there's so much great feedback from them.
And when you and Lucia go home, do you get that feedback at home? Do you guys kind of talk about the show, or do you leave hacks on the set?
No, we bring it with us everywhere. We talk about it like our second child, and it really is. It's like, and I feel like that's true when you put your kid to bed, you're looking at pictures of your kid and you're talking about your kid. So it's true of Hacks too, that it does come home with us and, we'll be falling asleep and we'll be like, oh, you know what we're good at? We should try and do this tomorrow. So in some ways it's real, cheat that we get to constantly have someone to bounce things off of all the time. But yeah, it never stops.
Take me back to when you were a kid, when you were a little kid, Morristown, New Jersey, Randolph Township, and you go to school and you're a little kid in first, second grade. Did you have a stage mother? Did she want you to be in song and dance and all of that stuff? Were you doing that stuff in kindergarten?
That's a good question. I mean, my parents were really supportive because I did want to be an actor from a very young age. And so my mom would take me into New York City on the train and I would audition for things and I had never booked. And she said, well, you have great diction and for child actors, a lisp or a speech impediment is very cute and very bookable. So, but they were really supportive, but my mom and dad weren't pushing it in any way. They were like, "You're a kid, do what you want to do, have fun." But
Did you perform in grade school?
yeah, I mean, I did do like pantomime classes, which is so funny as a kid. I remember in like fifth grade, I think we did Macbeth. Is that absolutely wild? I think,
Wow.
I know, I remember memorizing a monologue really young, which seems crazy because I was in public school in a really rural place, but somehow we were doing the Scottish plague. But yeah, I did, and I did throughout high school and college too. I did theater, also comedy, did sketch and improv too.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If we strip away
Mm.
the producer, the director, the actor, does it all come down to Paul W. Downs, the improv guy?
Yep. I guess. Yeah. I mean, improv, we really like the idea of, I did stand up when I first moved to New York and I found it lonely and I really missed doing improv, which I had done in college. Because it's collaborative. You do it with other people and all of the sort of rules you learn in improv, say yes and following the fun and discovering things in the moment. I use those things in life every day, whether it's in making hacks or hopefully in following the fun of life in general.
And that college was Duke University. Uh, do you go back? Do you speak to the students there?
I do now and then. Actually, I just went back last spring and I spoke to some of the students. I visited some of the acting classes and yeah, I do that when I can, it's not often. I hadn't been back to Duke in a long time, but I just went back last spring and did that.
What do you tell a freshman or a senior about getting into this business? This is not an easy business, you're
Wow. And I never know exactly what to say because things change all the time. When I was coming up, I went to New York and I did classes at the Upright Citizens Brigade. And being in the all comedy scene is where I met Lucia. It's where I met Abby and Alana, who created Broad City, which I worked on with Lucia and with Jen. I met Jen in the all comedy scene. We all kind of met there. I don't know that that's exactly the thing. It was very much in what I would call sort of like the golden age of the Upright Citizens Brigade, when a lot of people were doing comedy there and then booking parts on television. But I always tell people to find their people, because making film and television is such a collaborative process. And you've got to find your people and you've got to make things. You've got to try things. You've got to work the muscle of figuring out what your voice is and what stories you want to tell. So for me, it's always been about finding your people and collaborating with those people.
and you found people as you worked your way through YouTube and Broad City, but you always found people right from the start, didn't you? How'd you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I found people that were similarly like-minded, that had similar senses of humor, and that were similarly determined to be a storyteller, to work in comedy.
And how old is your child now? You guys had a baby,
I do. He's 3.
3 years old.
He's a big boy now. Yeah.
Is he does he ever come on set?
Oh yeah. His favorite part of set is crafty. That's for a kid, the best part of set. But yeah, he was,
Absolutely.
Are you going to scene today? We say yes. We're going to shoot a scene. Is there crafty? There is crafty. Yeah, so he does come in with it. Yeah.
Does do either of you, or Lucia, want your son in the business, or is that something you say, I don't know"?
I want him to do whatever makes him happy, but I can't imagine he won't be a director because he's so particular and bossy. He's like, Mom, no, 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 Dad, you read this book now, and he'll be like, "No, okay, yeah." He's already a director. It's absolutely wild.
And a couple things on that note. Last time we spoke, you said, when we pitched Hacks, we envisioned it as a 5-season show. Is that still the game plan?
Right now, that's still the game plan. Yeah, that's
Could you see it beyond that? I mean, it's gotten such success.
depends on who you ask, but I would say that we have always, we pitched the last episode when we pitched the show, and we're still headed in that direction. Every year we break the season and see how many episodes we feel it requires. We never want to do extra. We don't want to have filler episodes. We don't want to, we want to make sure we like trim the fat and make it as tight a season as we can. So season 1 was 10 episodes, season 2 was 8, season 3 was 9. This 4th season is 10. I don't know. If we have 16 episodes, that is not one season, but I think as long as we can tell it in around 10 episodes, it will probably be the final season because we know where we're going. I just don't know exactly I don't know all of the pieces to get there because we haven't broken it yet.
And beyond Hacks, Warner Brothers with Max, what is something you'd like to do? Is a movie in your, and I'm not talking for Lucia now, maybe it's the two of you together. Is a movie in your future, you think? Is that something
I
you want to do?
I would love that. Yeah. I mean, you mean writing a movie or being in a movie or both? I mean,
Either or both.
yeah, I mean, we have a couple movies that we have been wanting to write for a long time. We have the really great problem of not having the time yet to do it. And yeah, and I would love in the moments when I'm not working on hacks to be in someone else's movie. I would love to do that. I'm tech avail. I mean, I'm not really, but I guess tech is what that means. Tech avail means.
One other thing we spoke about, which piqued my interest, and I'm wondering how far along you've come with it. Your production company with Lucia, it's Paulie Lou Productions. I was kidding around, but I wasn't kidding around about Desilu Productions, and that became a monster. It became gargantuan. Is that something business wise you guys want to do? You want to grow a company?
Absolutely. I mean, have a few things in development, and we are non-writing producers on a couple of projects because we want to help people tell their stories. I think that's one of the great privileges of doing this is being able to help people get their show or their movie off the ground. And so we very much want to be doing that and doing more of that. And hopefully in the very near future, we'll be able to have some things that people can actually see.
Couple more questions. Role models. Who were your role models throughout your professional life?
Well, I mean, you did name one, like, Lucy and Desi are certainly role models of mine. I grew up watching a lot of Nick at Night, so I loved classic comedy, whether it was I Love Lucy or Mary Tyler Moore, or, there was a lot of um, role models I have in that way. I grew up watching I remember early um, in my comedy viewing experience, I watched Young Frankenstein with my dad, so I loved Mel Brooks, and I loved Gene Wilder, of course, but I also loved Terry Garr and Forrest Leachman and Matt
Ew.
and a lot of those character actors in those movies. I absolutely loved. And then I have role models like I have role models that aren't just actors and comedians. Robin Williams was a huge role model of mine. I loved Robin Williams when I was growing up, and doing him doing voices was my foray into comedy. Was just mimicking him do things. Um, but then there are people, I think that Mindy Kaling is really an incredible,
Mhm.
has helped a lot of
Mhm.
shows off the ground. Um, Seth and Evan are people that I look up to who have done the same thing, produced a lot of shows that are really great that again, I do want to do things like that.
Paul, whether you're playing Jimmy or we're talking here, you are one of the calmest people I've ever seen in the business. Is that you all the time?
No,
Or you know, internally?
I think that's hey, I guess I'm a great actor because I'm not calm. I mean, I at least like I don't know. I find a lot of it.
Internal.
It's a good kind of stress, but I feel like it's stressful. You know what I mean? I feel very activated a lot of the time. So I'm glad it's calm. That's good. That's
Workaholic, both you and Lucia. I mean, she went into labor. She was working, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, she's got, she was born in Italy. Um and she came over when she was a baby, but she says this of herself, and it's true. She has like this like first generation, this immigrant mentality of like really working, and like her dad was in the restaurant business, and um, the hours are really demanding and really wild, and so she has such a work ethic. She's even more of a workaholic than I am. I think that I know we're both workaholics. We're both workaholics.
Right, that's
But
that's
work if you love it. So
And finally, pique my interest as season 4 progresses and what we might see for season 5. What's on the tape that you can talk about that the attorneys won't get us for, and what you envision for a season 5?
well, if season 5 is to be the last season, I think we have a lot of loops to close and um a lot of evolutions to follow up on, whether it's for Deborah and Ava or all of the ensemble. I think like what we'd want to do is really um bookend the series and return to some of our earlier episodes and earlier characters, and um hopefully give them the farewell that they deserve.
And you guys really have become a family between Hannah and Gene. You guys have really become close-knit.
Very, very. We are absolutely family. We've been through a lot together, from pandemics to births to deaths to, heart attacks to all kinds of things. It's been a really it's been a really intense and really special time in all of our lives.
Well, continued success. It's Hacks. It's on Max. It's by the way, what attracts viewers? What do you think? Viewers keep coming in. What attracts viewers to Hacks?
I think I think people are respond to the tone. I think they everyone's looking for a laugh. People want sort of a little bit of a reprieve from the news, and but I think they also like the fact that it's emotional, that there's grounded emotional moments. I think people are there for the heart. And also, I think whether you're someone who's closer to a Deborah or closer to an Ava, there's a lot of entry points to the show. I think you can relate to some point of view because we represent very differing points of view and the places that people can meet in the middle.
By the way, is your agent Paul anything like Jimmy?
My agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, my agents are all very like good people. They're all well-meaning good people who I really like. So I
So
think
it's Tom.
yeah, that's the thing. I think like you see the agent that's a snake and a shark um and my agents are very, very decent. Though they're also killers, they're also very good at their job.
Jimmy knows what he's. There you go. Paul, it is always a pleasure. Continued success, as I said, on Hacks. Good luck with this Emmy season that's coming up again, and hopefully we'll talk again soon as the show progresses. Paul W. Downs, Hacks on Max. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Ross.